Well, we're in another part of the Moose Jaw Public Library here, and there's people in here around, and so we're talking relatively quietly, but I have Darla Middlebrook with me. And of course, many of you may recognize Darla, who was a speech pathologist with the school systems around Moose Jaw for the past, I don't know, a long time. 23 years. And now she's, of course, and she did a little bit of acting as well, and people may have seen that, but now you've gone on to a new venture, and it's voicing, or tell me the proper term for it, Darla.
Okay, I'm a voice-over actor who specializes in audiobook narration.
How did you come to this choice of careers?
Well, I was looking for something to do after I retired, and everybody's been telling me, oh yeah, you know, you've got a great voice, you should try doing just reading. And I thought it would be easy, and it's not. But I really enjoy doing it. I took, for a couple of years after I retired, I took several courses on how to narrate, and went down to California, had a couple, I have a coach down there, and I did some coaching over Skype with a company in New York City, and then I began trying to get jobs narrating books. It's not that easy because there are a lot of people out there who narrate, but I have in the past year been narrating fairly regularly. I'm going to be doing a couple. I'm in the process of doing 3 projects right now. I recently finished a project where I co-narrated a Jack London book called Iron Heel.
And that's a unique book too, isn't it? Because what's special about that book compared to all the other ones that Jack London, of course, wrote, Fang and White Fang.
Well, the Iron Heel, first of all, is one, I think the only book that he wrote that is told from a woman's perspective. So that's why they asked me to do it. And the other thing is, it's science fiction. Even though it was written in 1906, I think, he was a contemporary of H.G. Wells. And he wrote, I found out when I was doing the book that he wrote several speculative fictions. And that was one of them. It's supposed to be set 700 years beyond 1912. It's sort of complicated. But anyway, it's in the public domain, and so we were able to do it. And I co-narrated it, as I said, with a man. And the unique thing about doing this kind of thing from our own home studios is that the man who co-narrated lives in Colorado, and I live here. And so we would, you know, I would do my part, send it to him, it would be edited, and then he'd do his part and put it together. And it's now on sale on audible.com.
Well, you talked about, you know, how hard it is and stuff. Your lifestyle changed. When I talked to you about coming on the program, you record your sessions in the middle of the night.
Yeah, but that's not normal for most people. I do it because where I live, it's a cul-de-sac, and it really, you know.
There's no activity at that.
There's very little activity at that time of night. Between 11:30 at night and 4 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot of activity. But during the day, there's people mowing their lawns, children running around, people starting their cars, people just talking, and the mic picks all that up. So, yeah.
Now, have you bought your own equipment, etc., or is that supplied by the companies that you work for?
No, I purchased my own equipment. I have a microphone, computer. You have to start out when you're doing this. You have to have your own computer if you're not doing it in a studio. I have my own computer. I have software that's for recording. I have an iPad. I have 2 iPads.
To relate back to our last segment.
Yes, that's right. I get my manuscripts as a PDF, and I put it on my iPad. And then I go into I have made myself a little booth that blocks off a lot of the reverberation. And I control my computer with another iPad. I control my computer, and I record.
Now, you brought along a sample of what you did. So let's just bring that up close, and I'll hold the microphone, and people will. This is kind of a preview.
Okay.
What piece are we listening to?
Okay, this is from a book called The Prophet, and it's actually the third book in a series written by Mike Resnick. He was a science fiction writer, and he asked for me to do the 3 books. So.
No room for them to breathe and flex their muscles in mankind's sprawling democracy, so they gravitated to the distant, barren worlds of the inner frontier, drawn ever closer to the bright galactic core, like moths to a flame. Oh, they fit into human frames, most of them, but they were giants nonetheless. No one knew what had brought them forth in such quantity at this particular moment in human history. Perhaps there was a need for them in a galaxy filled to overflowing with little people, possessed of even smaller dreams. Possibly, it was the savage splendor of the inner frontier itself, for it was certainly not a place for ordinary men and women.
So,
I end up doing a lot of, which I like. I do a lot of science fiction, fantasy. I end up doing a lot of voices and things like that. Before I started doing this, I didn't think of myself as having a deep voice, but I've been told.
Darla, you have a deep voice.
That I have a deep voice, yes. So I end up doing sometimes, the very first book I did, I was chosen to do it because of my deep voice, and it was a man. I had to be a man, so it works out okay, My hardest thing to do is to try to do children's voices. But I do male, female, old, young creatures.
Well, what a wonderful way to use your skills. Of course, a speech pathologist is very aware of the articulators and the proper uses of those, and and also with your acting background, it's a natural fit. But how did you ever find out about this? Like, how did you get into the business area?
There is a club in Regina, the Voice Actors Club, and that's how I got involved with that club, and my very first workshop was they had us do different things, commercial, cartoon, audiobook, what's called info things, and I said I only want to do audiobooks, and I was told that A, audiobooks don't pay well, B, you really should get your chops in the other things first, the commercials and stuff like that. But when I stood up and started reading the audiobook, the guy was like, "You should do audiobooks." I said, duh. So, because I'm not very good with commercials. If I don't believe in a product, it sounds like I don't believe in the product, so.
And you believe in these books in the science fiction aspect. Where is that part of your psyche? Because I never thought of you as being a science fiction person.
Yeah, I like science fiction, fantasy, but I've also done some murder mysteries, and horror. I don't do erotica. I've been asked a couple of times to do it because I have the voice for erotica. However, I can't.
Just no.
No. Yeah. If there's a racy scene in a book, I do that, but not a book that's racy scene, and maybe we'll throw a little plot in here, and no, not erotica.
Well, it's what a wonderful thing that you've done, and the fact that you've do it here in Moose Jaw is wonderful. And the fact that we keep you in our community, because you're a great asset to that. I know the librarians were quite thrilled with the fact that I never met one before, and they were quite quizzing you about your whole program and what it involved. So.
Yeah, well, there are a few of us in the province. I don't know all of the other audiobook narrators in the province, but one I do know is probably one that people are familiar with. His name is Edward Willett, and Edward is an author, actually, and now he's getting into voiceover. Narrating books, but he wrote first, and he's got the voice for it. He's got this really deep voice, So he's now started doing it too in the province. So there are at least 2 of us in the province, but I'm sure there are others.
So where can people access these books?
Okay, My books can be accessed through audible.com, and I have a website here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but anyway, you go to Audible.
If you hold it still, we can.
Okay. Go to audible.com.
And
then once you're on there, you can search my name, Darla Middlebrook, and it'll bring you a page that has all of my works on it.
Yeah.
And I also have a website. It's called Darla's Voice. Real original. But if you go to that website, you can hear some of the works I've done. I have to update it because since I made the website, I've done like 10 more books, so I've got to, update it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Darla, thank you for getting hold of me. We ran into each other. She says, it's like it was a premonition or something that you ran into me. And she said, this is what I'm doing. I said, we'll talk about this because I thought it was very fascinating. She said, that's why I wanted to talk to you. So it's nice to have you here and do this. I hope you have great success with this. And as you have with all your other careers before this one. And people can look forward to your books and this new type of technology that's available to them.
Just so long as they understand that I don't write this stuff. I just narrate it. I've been, when I have performed someplace to perform some of the books, they've introduced me as being the writer. And I'm like, I am not the writer. I cannot write. I'm not a writer. But I can narrate. I can interpret what someone has written. And I audition for them, and the author, if the author likes what I do, like Mike Resnick liked what I did, and asked me to do 3 of his books, and there you go.
Oh darn. Okay. Well, that wraps up our show today from the Moose Jaw Public Library, the first one of 2014. We look forward to bringing you a lot more interesting people and locations in our community in the upcoming months, and hope that you're all over the cold snap and the holiday fervors that have followed us, and we can get on and into a very successful and prosperous 2014. So thanks to you for watching. We'll see you again soon on Moose Jaw This Week.